Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 174 of the world's longest tenured Denver Nuggets spin-off podcast. Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets' Serbian Corner. My name is Miroslav, and before we begin, please take a moment to like the video on YouTube, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the DNVR Sports YouTube channel and DNVR Nuggets podcast channel. The audio version is ideal for your commute or to make your office or home office time more bearable. If you want to support the show more directly, you can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/MiroslavCuk, just like my Seco tier supporters Peter Plummer, Daniel Lynch, and Brian Johnson. Patreon supporters can enjoy the ad-free audio version of this show. They can also submit ideas for guests and topics and appear on the show during the summer. The week behind us started with a game against Milwaukee. Christian Braun was out due to his ankle not being right, which was obvious in a previous game, as I mentioned last week. Jamal Murray was also out due to illness. So when you add those to the standard list of unavailable players, Joker, Cam, and Jonas, it was time for Pickett and Hunter Tyson to start. We can point to good offensive outputs from Tim Hardaway Jr., Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson, and Zeke Naji as a reason for this unlikely win against the full-strength Giannis Antetokounmpo-led Bucks. But I thought it was the clutch defense of the closing lineup of Pickett, Hardaway, Watson, Naji, and Aaron Gordon that actually won them the game. Several amazing defensive plays from Peyton and Zeke shut down the last attempts from Milwaukee to complete the return and get the win on the road. Next up, the game in New Orleans. Christian Braun stayed in Denver to deal with the setback from his ankle injury, but Jamal Murray was back from his flu. Jalen Pickett remained in the starting lineups as Coach Adelman likes to give Jamal a release valve for ball handling. The Nuggets played well. The two guards combined for 19 points in the first quarter, but the Jamal-less, Watson-less bench unit started the second quarter. Let the Pels build a near double-digit lead. The Nuggets remained down 5 to 8 points for most of the game, but managed to take their first semi-significant lead in the fourth quarter. Adelman decided to close the game with Pickett, Murray, Tim Hardaway Jr., Watson, and Gordon. And even though they didn't play the most stellar offense, they made enough stops versus the team with no winning DNA. So a couple of clutch shots from Murray and Watson sealed the win. Jamal and Peyton combined for 66 points, and Tim Hardaway Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Jalen Pickett all had more than 15 points. Last night in Dallas, we finally got the same starting lineup for the second game in a row. Murray, Pickett, Watson, Spencer Jones, and Aaron Gordon looked great from the jump. Yes, Dallas was playing without the eternally injured Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flagg got injured late in the second quarter, but it was very impressive to watch this Nuggets team cook the Mavs. Jamal Murray had another masterclass putting the team on his back, but he got great contributions from Aaron Gordon, who played his second night of a back-to-back since coming back from the hamstring injury, Peyton Watson, who is now a full-blown star, and always reliable Tim Hardaway Jr. Spencer Jones also had a bounce-back game, so the win never got in jeopardy, even in a couple of situations when the Mavs reduced the lead to 5 points. Deron Holmes is slowly falling out of the rotation, and Julian Stroughter remained out of it. 6-3 without Joker. What more could we ask for? Okay, my guest for today is every NBA podcaster's favorite guest. When you hit the doldrums of regular season grind, you know he has something to talk about. From the Athletics, NBA Daily, and the Fast Break Breakfast podcast, is the basketball coach and a basketball scout, once upon a time host of the Athletics Denver Nuggets podcast, and the host of Nerder She Wrote podcast from Long Beach, California, is the man of the basketball world, Dave DuFour.
I love that. I'm the guy you can call when nobody else has anything to say. That's great. That's a compliment, man. I really appreciate it. It's really good to be here. It's been too long. Also to listen to you list off just all the podcast stuff that I've done makes me think I've done this too long. But
yeah, and I obviously skipped several of those. Like I didn't want to
there was a jazz podcast in there, a Mavericks podcast, a Pacers podcast. Man.
Exactly. And you know what? I've listened to so many podcasts with you as a guest, not only as a host. It's pretty crazy. And I'm not making anything up here. Like I've listened to so many of like thinking basketball podcasts, etc. Like so many great ones. I have a dumb question for you for the beginning, just to loosen us up. So you are in Long Beach, California, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How long is Long Beach?
It's actually pretty long. If I'm being honest, like the stretch of beach, if I'm just going from, let's say, the marina that's downtown to the end of the peninsula, which kind of juts off the beach down on the other side, like towards Seal Beach, it's a good 3.5 or 4 miles long. It's about a 3-mile walk from my house to the dog beach. So pretty long, man. That's a long stretch of beach.
It is. We don't have as many of those super long beaches in Europe, because Europe has some wonky geography.
Well, small countries.
Small countries, especially. Now,
you ever been to the beach in Slovenia? The little tiny.
Oh yeah, in Isola, yeah,
Isola,
yeah.
Beautiful place.
I haven't been there. I've seen a lot of photos though. I love Ljubljana, so I love to
one of the best cities in the world. I mean, it's people do not understand, like they don't know about it. Yeah. And the river, like the color of the water in the river, makes you feel like you're in, I don't know, some Tolkien setting. It's amazing.
Oh, exactly. Oh, and the little dragons near the bridges and everything.
Yeah.
It's just
Did you make it to Lake Bled? Sorry, we're just going to talk about European travel.
Listen, we both enjoy, geography talking. So it's I don't mind it at all. Speaking of geography, let's switch to biology. You're a person that lives a healthy life. Do you have any advice for healthy living that is specifically useful during summer?
I mean, I think walking every day is the healthiest thing you can do, aside from not eating, a lot of sugar and, stuff like that. But no, just walking every day. I walk somewhere between 7 and 10 miles a day. The obviously 10 miles, those are the best days. That means I had a lot of free time. But I think walking is the key to life. It's one of the things that has been taken away from us by the trappings of our modern life, right? Like we all hop into the car, we sit at our desk, we do all these other things, and we used to just walk everywhere. I think there's a reason that evolutionarily it does a lot of good things have come from human beings being able to walk. So yeah, try to walk.
There was this medical research done in like the 80s in the United Kingdom, where they discovered that the healthiest people in the UK were the double-decker conductors, guys who were just walking constantly and just tearing everybody's tickets just to check if everybody has a ticket on them. So yeah, there's something there. Do you do something while walking? Like, do you multitask?
Sometimes I'll listen to an audiobook. Sometimes if there's a good podcast I want to listen to. Sometimes music, sometimes I just listen to, I live at the beach. So sometimes it's just the sound of the ocean.
Yeah.
And if I'm hiking in the woods, I like to hear nothing. So I don't know. It depends. And I rarely will walk and read a book. That feels a little dangerous. Just in general. I don't want to trip and get messed up reading a book. That would be embarrassing.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, how'd you break your nose? I was reading this book.
You need to come.
By the way, we should point out, if you're listening, you can't see this, but if you're on YouTube, we're wearing the same shirt.
Yeah, we
both
swear
guys. Yeah, we love free shirts. I'm just going to throw that out there.
We didn't podcast together for like a year, so there was no prearranged anything about this.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move to basketball now, because unfortunately this is the basketball podcast. If I told you in October that Peyton Watson is going to be a player of the week of the Western Conference, what would you think I just drank?
Yeah, this is kind of a crazy turn of events. My co-host Esper Henny let me know on the show the other day that there was like a 10-game stretch where Peyton Watson scored more points in the NBA than he scored in his entire college career.
Yes.
That's absurd. I don't think anyone knew this except for maybe Calvin Booth, but did he know that he could do this stuff off the dribble? I'm not sure where this came from, but it has been a shocking and very fun development. Like this is it's kind of a fun problem to think about. Like usually you're thinking, what does a team do with a guy who's Peyton Watson last year? What do they do if he's not better this season? How do you move him? How do you get off that contract? And now it's like, well, now how do you keep him? That's way more of a fun problem for me to think about. But man, he's been so good. The shot looks great. Obviously, big part of that is that it's going in. But if he's legitimately a 37% three-point shooter at this point, with that sort of defense, the way he protects the rim, whoo.
And some sweet moves too. It's not just the shot; he can really play. And I remember when he came to the Nuggets 4 years ago, it was like everybody knew about his like 3 points per game in college, but at the same time, he was like friends with the biggest stars in the league, and that was supposed to tell us something. Like those cats knew who this guy is. It's just he needed, the appropriate chance to show it to us. And you know what? I used to fantasize about Joker missing a month of the season just to see what the other guys can do in his absence.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, like, admittedly, this is the deepest roster the Nuggets have had in the Joker era. But man, what is going on right now looks like the best possible scenario.
Yeah, we felt like this was a deep team this year coming in, and that was before I knew that they had Peyton Watson and Jalen Pickett and Zeke Naji, who has been really giving them great minutes defensively, especially. This team is, in my opinion, the best team in the league when they're fully healthy. I shouldn't even have to qualify that. Everyone should understand that when you add the best player in the world to a team that is this good without him, I mean, they've exceeded my expectations. Part of it is because there's been an offensive drop off without Jokić, but it hasn't been as bad as I anticipated. It's not 20 points. It's only 10. And the defense has been better. But that's a huge deal, right?
That's actually good enough. They're still number one offense. Even after 9 games without Joker, they're still in number one. Although they're not historically great anymore. They're not the best offense of all time.
Right.
But they can get back to that eventually, hopefully. We'll see about it. Let me ask you something. There's this thought I have in my head about them missing all of their guys right now and still playing great and still, they're the second seed in the West right now. Mm-hmm. That's even higher than what it was 9 games ago. Is this moment in time a bad sign for the season because they will have fewer chemistry closer to the playoffs? Or do you think that just having all of those guys rested might actually benefit them in the long run?
I think that there's something to the rest thing. Now, Jokić doesn't miss time. And so you worry, okay, is there going to be a rhythm issue? What does it look like when he comes back and reintegrates? It's not going to be a problem. And I don't see them having a drop off. It's also not that long. Actually, it's going to be less than a month, maybe right at a month that he misses. So I think that when you have a player like Jokić that everyone could fit around, these moments that they're doing without him, this is what's going to carry them. And it's going to allow him to play 36 minutes a night instead of 40. Like this is found money, in my opinion. If he can get a quarter off every single night from here to the rest of the season, any sort of hiccups that they have reintegrating Jokić, which is a ridiculous thing to say because there won't be any hiccups they have are worth it because they're going to, again, they found this money and that's even without Valančiunas. So now you've got an offensive option and a defensive option for when Jokić is off the court. You can mix things up and you can play to your advantages now. Maybe you're playing against a team that has a smaller lineup. Okay, we're going to hammer them with Valančiunas. We're going to get them in foul trouble while Jokić is resting. And then when Jokić comes back, he's just going to eat. It's going to be an easier job. Or maybe it's a team where you need more defense out there because their second unit is pretty good and get into the basket. And now you've got some rim protection you can throw out there. And I wouldn't be shocked if we start seeing, a little bit of Jokić. We saw some Jokić and Valančiunas, but how about mixing it up and Jokić and Naji? Maybe you play all three against some of these big teams. I mean, when you're going against Houston, they're going to play huge. Now you have even more lineup flexibility that you can trust. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think if anything, this is a huge advantage from a rest perspective. We always talk about how much of a load Jokić has to carry. Jamal Murray having an all-NBA season, not just all-star, but an all-NBA season, I think has helped quite a bit. And if that can continue, I will.
Hold that thought about Jamal, because I wanted to talk about Jamal on the other side of this break. So don't go anywhere. So, Dave, you mentioned Jamal having by far his best regular season of his career. His numbers before Joker went out were just 25 points and whatever, 9 assists, stuff like that. Now they're up to 30 and 11 assists, and his three-point shooting is amazing. His field goal shots are amazing. He's right now, I believe he's the 8th highest in assists per game in the entire league. If you have number 1 guy and number 8 guy on the same team, that sounds like fun. At the same time, before we give Jamal his flowers he deserved, I'm kind of a bit worried about the team being so reliant on Joker and Jamal for creation. I just feel there should be some space for a guy like Peyton Watson to be able to create a bit, for his teammates and himself as well. I hope David Adelman will be flexible enough to allow several different streams, connecting into one big river of great offense.
Number one, I love that turn of phrase. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Number two, I actually think that if you look around the league, has anyone ever said we have too many guys that can do stuff with the ball in their hands? I don't think that David Adelman is going to be the first coach to say this. And, you consider, look at the Lakers when their offense at its best. It's those 3 guys. It's Luka, Austin Reeves, and LeBron being able to attack. Basically, consider Jamal Murray as a spot-up guy on the other side of a Peyton Watson, Jokić pick and roll. I think that is something that Jamal Murray would benefit from, because even if he just catches the ball and doesn't get a shot up, he gets to roll against the defense that's already bent. Yeah. So I don't think that David Adelman is going to be shy about giving Peyton Watson similar touches to what he's getting right now. And Jokić is about as unselfish a superstar as there's ever been. And, him, I don't see him being worried about this guy getting a chance when he's clearly proven that he's a player, and it's for their benefit. I mean, they have the lineup flexibility where you can play big or small, and Peyton Watson unlocks all of it. He's huge and can play the 2. I mean, they're in a really lucky position when Cam Johnson's out there and when Jokić is out there. They are going to be big, and they're going to have a lot of guys that can do stuff with the ball in their hands. Listen, I mean, Aaron Gordon can still dribble, right? He's still a pretty good guy scoring one-on-one. You can post him up. They just have a lot of dudes now.
I'm thinking about a lineup of Jamal Murray, Peyton Watson, Cam Johnson, Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokić. That's 5 guys that can do stuff with the ball.
Yeah.
That can do a lot of stuff with the ball. Mm-hmm. And this is the 5 we've never seen, really. Because Christian Brown is their, de facto starting shooting guard, and he's earned it by playing great in the past 3 years. But when we see the unlocked potential of Peyton Watson and stuff he could do with the ball, and especially on defense, because frankly, he is a much better defender than Christian Brown at this point of their careers. That could be because, Christian Brown had to have a lot of load on offense, so maybe he trailed off a bit on defense. How hard that is. Is this the best possible 5 the Nuggets can assemble this season?
I mean, as of today, we'll see what happens with Christian Brown and how he bounces back. The injuries, I think, have also been an issue with him. It's hard to be a player who doesn't touch the ball and then come back from injury and find rhythm. Yeah. He doesn't have the off the dribble game that Peyton Watson has. And this is where, he may lose that starting spot. And probably rightfully, if this is real for Peyton Watson, I mean, which it feels like it is, because you just get more flexibility with what he can do. It could also be a scenario where you want to bring Peyton Watson off the bench for his ball handling and maybe feature him even more. But I just think that they have more lineup flexibility this year than they had at any point in the last 2 and maybe 3 seasons. And it's wild. I mean, they have like 11 guys. I don't know what you do with it. I mean, I again, this is such a new problem for the Nuggets to have, and they have athletes too. This was an unathletic team a couple of years ago. Now they have athletes. It's really a remarkable turnaround for them.
It's really crazy. I have to say, Zeke Naji has to play, man. Zeke Naji has been so good at the 4 spot. Like Aaron Gordon is like a perfect 5 next to him, because Zeke is not strong enough to be a real 5. But you know what? If you're playing against the second unit that doesn't have a plowing center, Zeke can be your 5 in that situation. If you pair him with Peyton Watson and let's say Spencer Jones, that's a very formidable defensive front court. And I'm just loving it, man. Like just and you have Tim Hardaway Jr. who is shooting the letter of the ball. Like he's always been a great shooter.
I knew this was
just
happen,
crazy.
I mean, number one, of course, it was going to happen playing with Jokić. Just Tim Hardaway Jr. flying off a DHO or coming off the wing and being able to catch and shoot. That guy is ridiculous, and he's got a quick trigger. Now he's going to he'll have a week here or there where he is god awful, just missing, but he never stops shooting, and that has so much value. He puts pressure on the defense, especially in transition. That guy pull up in transition, like you can catch him on the wing, and with the attention that Murray and Jokić attract when they're in transition, I mean, he's been able to feast there. I mean, Aaron Gordon has been feasting on those threes for years, and Hardaway is a better shooter than him, especially in those situations. So I look, this team is built to win the title. They're my favorites to win the title, and they were coming into the season as good as Oklahoma City looks, but they look even better than I thought they were going to be.
So Jamal Murray is currently averaging 26 points, 7.5 assists, almost 45% from the 3-point line on almost 8 attempts per game. Those are crazy numbers. He put the team on his back in Joker's absence, and for the first time in his career, he did it perfectly. Like he was always shaky as the guy who is supposed to carry the team.
Mm-hmm.
Now he is good enough to do it. No questions asked. If you would make like a top 20 ranking of all players right now based on this season alone, how high do you think you could have Jamal on that list?
I mean, maybe 15, somewhere around there. I mean, his defense has been good this year too. Let's not overlook that. Like his defense has been good, not just passable. But it helps that he came in shape. He was motivated to play, and rightfully so, because to me, this was the make or break year for the Jokić Murray pairing. You needed to know, was Jamal Murray good enough to be Jokic's number 2, which obviously, look, they won a title.
Yeah.
So he was at one point, but could he still be? Because otherwise you got to upgrade that guy, or at least find a third guy who boosts those two a little bit further up. And I think he's answered the call in about as good a way as you possibly can. I mean, it's hard to critique the season that he's had in any way but positive. I mean, he's been, again, I think he's an all-star. I feel like he's probably going to wind up making All-NBA. He's had an amazing season. So maybe around 15, I don't know. You know, like he's one of these tier 2, 3 guys, right? Like he's just on the cusp of being a top 12 player.
Yeah, and by the way, all of those words you just mentioned are exactly my words about Jamal. And, you know, the need for him to be that guy. And if he's not, like, it's maybe time to explore other options. And, yeah, he answered the call with flying colors. Now, the All-Star game is a meaningless exhibition. No player cares about it, you know, playing well in it at all.
Yeah.
And, in fact, they consider it, they look cool if they're disinterested as possible. Still, the All-Star numbers count towards players' legacies and to a certain extent even influence their contracts. This is why I have to ask you, and I've heard you saying on your today's show that Jamal is a lock to be an All-Star this season. How much is his case better than, for instance, Danny Avdias, Lauri Markkanen's, Pascal Siakam's? Because the top 5 guys, international guys, are all five starters in the West. So it's just the question of the other 3 that they're gonna appear on the All-Star.
Yeah, I mean, I think his case is as good or better than those guys. I happen to value winning. I think when you get this Nuggets team playing like this, and especially with Jokić out, like this has solidified the case for me. This last 10-game stretch, I just don't see how you tell the story of the season without this guy being an All-Star. If we look back and the Nuggets are in the conference finals, or let's say they win the title, and you go and say, wow, they only had one All-Star. Again, Jokić does it again. And that doesn't actually tell the story this year, does it? It does for the other years. But this year, I don't think it does. I think that, this is where I tend to be more narrative when it comes to these types of awards, because I do think that it is important for to look back in the history books and say, yes, this is, instead of splitting hairs, what is the story? And I do think that the Nuggets are a story. But Jamal Murray over the last 10 games has shown to me that, because they're worse on paper than maybe Portland without Jokić, right? Just on paper, because they don't have any stars. Neither does Portland, but they've got Denny. And I think what he's done just carries a lot of weight with me. But Denny's probably going to make it. I think Lowry is the one that's on the kind of on the bubble.
Do you think Lowry gets traded? He just got pronounced ill for tonight's game. Like, what's going on there?
I think he's actually sick. I think he's actually sick. I mean, there's something going around the NBA, but I don't know if they are going to trade him, because doesn't it feel like they are going to try to compete next year?
I mean, they do have some players I really like. Like
George is really good.
That is a fun team. It's just like
I love Bryce Sensabaugh. Did you see that 43 points off the bench? Come on, man. 2 assists. 43 points and 2 assists, man. You were cooking. So they've got some guys.
That's Bojan Bogdanovic numbers.
Yeah. They've got some guys. And by the way, they were good. They're good enough this year that they maybe could have been in the play-in battle, right? So I don't know. I think if you're Utah and you want to compete, why would you trade away Lauri Markkanen? What's his value even? I don't know. Like, do you want Jonathan Kuminga? And whatever flotsam the Warriors.
Oh, by the way, like all the talk about Jonathan Kuminga, like Shams announcing that he requested a trade, and I'm waiting for the second tweet saying like all the 29 teams are lining up with their best possible offer for Jonathan Kuminga. Like what is going on there? Like, I know he works for the agents and everything, but come on, man. Like let's not get too carried away.
Oh man. Yeah. Listen, I think the Warriors really should have taken the deal that they had this summer. Yeah. And not just for them, but for him. Because now at this point, you get to a point where you have to think about the human being there too. And it's not like Jonathan Kuminga is some bad guy. He's just a guy who's trying to find his way, and he's not a Warriors player. And it has been obvious since before day one, which is why it was a mistake that the Warriors drafted him in the first place. They should have drafted, if you needed a guy who was going to come fit in, you should have drafted for fit.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And now the problem that you've got is you have, like we've seen, this is going to sound familiar. This is going to sound very familiar. You have a coach who has rebelled against the front office's draft choices.
Yeah.
Right? For years now. Has rebelled against the front office's draft choices. How long did it take for Moses Moody to become a Warriors type of player?
Do you think Steve Kerr is going to retire after he's no longer the coach of Golden State Warriors?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I originally I thought if he was going to keep coaching, it would have been a scenario where maybe he goes back to San Antonio after Pop left. But obviously San Antonio and Greg Popovich's hand were a little bit forced there, and it seems like Mitch Johnson's going to be the guy. I don't know. I was a little disappointed when Pop didn't retire with Tim Duncan, like he kind of said he was. And it was LaMarcus Aldridge that got him to stick around. And then, but
Yeah.
really, Pop just wanted to keep coaching. So
Yeah.
with Kerr, I just don't know. Like, does he want to keep coaching? Maybe he wants to go run a college program. I don't know. He's an interesting guy. Like, I could see him running a front office again.
It's not going to be fun for him coaching without Steph Curry, for sure, at some point of their careers. Okay, before we take our last break, give me your top 6 teams in the West, like from 6 to 1 at this right moment.
Okay, and I mean, at this moment, I'm not going to put I mean, it's almost like the standings because, right, you have to say Oklahoma City is 1. Okay. They're the defending champs, right? I'm going to give them that, right? They're the defending champs. Sure, they had a rough month, but every NBA team kind of goes through stuff like this. But they just pick up a big win over the Spurs. Jokić isn't back yet, so I'll say they're number 1. And but I do think that the Nuggets at full strength are the best team in the league, and they're my pick to win the title right now. But I'd put the Nuggets right behind.
And they were in October as well, so it's not like you've changed.
No, I've not changed it. If anything, I'm ready to double down on it. Yeah. And I had the Thunder. I thought they would win 70 games. So I saw them having a really great regular season, but I believe in Nikola Jokić being able to win a single basketball game when he has bodies around him.
Problem solving, and when I mentioned Zeke Nagy has to play, I can see him play against the Thunder in the non-Jokić minutes.
Absolutely,
like just switch everything, and see if they can beat you with with pick and roll if you're switching everything.
But I think the standings are close. I mean, it's OKC, Denver, San Antonio, Minnesota, who I think is being a little bit slept on. I would have Houston 5, and I'd probably put the Lakers 6. And that's I don't feel very strongly about the Lakers as far as like being an actual contender, but in the playoffs though they can win any single game too because they're likely to have the best player on the court. So that they're tricky. Houston, I'm not a believer in. They don't have the offense. Like, where do their easy buckets come from? Your offense can't be predicated on offensive rebounding only. It's just not sustainable come playoff time. And I think that a lot of people are sleeping on the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have a top 5 defense for 38 minutes a game, locked in, guaranteed. If they can figure out the other 10, and it feels like Johan Beranger might be the guy. I mean, he was plus 30 in a game the other night that they didn't have Gobert. If he can fill in those minutes and give them 8 to 10 minutes, so that they don't have to die when it's Naz Reid and Julius Randle on the court without Gobert. That team is serious. Anthony Edwards, come last 5 minutes of a game, he's approaching. He's not going to be Jokić. Nobody is, because he just has that physical domination. He's like Shaq with in every single way that matters outside of explosiveness. He's just unguardable. I think Anthony Edwards is getting up there.
I think I saw that Anthony Edwards actually has a negative net rating swing this season, which is pretty surprising to me. They're a really good team without Anthony Edwards, and they have been a good team without him for years now, because their ball movement is actually better when he is off the court. It's just that like he's such an incredible talent and he can hit the shot.
That game that they played against the Thunder, man. I mean, he ended that game. He blocked Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's layup, came down, hit the 3 to go ahead, and then picked Shai's pocket at the top of the key. So, I mean, I would bank on that guy come playoff time. And we've seen it from him, too. It's not like this guy hasn't done it already, which is kind of why it's surprising that we're not all on board and saying, wow, what about Minnesota? And we know that they match up well with Denver. This is going to be really awesome playoffs if we can get some of these matchups
in the West.
I really I want San Antonio OKC really bad, and I want Denver Minnesota really bad. But there's also, like, I would love to see Minnesota OKC, and I'd love to see Wemby and Jokić. So however this stuff works out, we are going to have an epic playoff. And I think this is going to be so much fun, but I do think Nuggets probably win it again.
Okay.
Now when I go on the Celtics podcast, I will
and you will.
The Celtics are going to win.
and I know you will. Okay, let's take a last short break, and after that, we're going to have some fun making fun of the NBA. Don't go anywhere. So, Dave, for the first time in history, the All-Star Game will have not 2, not 4, but 3 teams. The fans, the media, the players, and eventually the coaches will still choose 12 guys from the Western Conference and 12 guys for the E-League, even though we will, in the end, have one team of 8 or more players from outside the USA and 2 teams with combined 16, again, or more players from the USA. I'm guessing Adam Silver and his idea team thought that there are 67% of the USA starts and 33% of the non-USA starts. And what happens if that needles moves to 60-40? Does that mean they're going to have 3 teams from the US and 2 teams from the rest of the world just to, make it fair? Are we going to start including Canada's players with the USA teams, in a couple of years? What about when the NBA Europe starts and LeBron James and Russell Westbrook are kicking ass playing for Manchester City and FC Copenhagen? Give me your thoughts on the newest All-Star format, and please pitch some ideas on how to make it even worse.
Oh God, how do you make it worse? Please, can the NBA? I just wanted the next version of this that we get next year, because there's no way they're not going to change this again. Make it more complicated for me, because I'd be honest with you, Miro, like for real, man. I have purposely avoided looking into this format since they announced it, because it's not worth the energy that my brain requires, like the calories my brain would burn to try to figure out the various iterations of these teams. It's just not worth it, because the second this thing is over and everyone's complaining about the same stuff, these guys don't care, nobody played, blah, 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 blah. We're just going to get some new format next season. And so, like, just take it back to East and West and leave it at that. Just do 15 guys aside. Leave it at that. Make it like pickup. I don't care. Mic everybody up. Like, make it fun, and just quit caring if they care or not. Because guess what? We don't. It is supposed to be an all-star game. It's supposed to be fun. Nobody's out here saying, I want this to feel like Game 7 of the NBA Finals, except for the people who, like, honestly, they're just kind of dishonest. They just want to argue it out loud. I would say ignore the internet, go back to East-West, tell the guys, hey, we want to mic you up. We want to have fun. It's for kids. Let's remember that, right? Like, you're doing all this like cartoon stuff. Make the actual game for kids. Make it fun. I think about that Chicago February 2020, right before the pandemic, that all-star finish, the floor, both ends of the court, full of kids from the local Boys and Girls Club or whatever, NBA, junior or whatever it was. But the gym was flooded with children, kids. And I believe they got in for free. If they didn't, I hope they did. Yeah. And then there was, there's celebrities out there next to the court, and you're always going to have that because, you got to have that. But just bring out the kids and just do stuff and try to entertain those kids. Not to even be like, hey, man, think about the children. But actually, with the All-Star game, that's kind of the point. I don't care about it. Those stats don't matter. Nobody gets a ring for the All-Star game. If you want to try hard, guess what? I bet other people will. But we all have seen All-Star games where one dude took it seriously and it got everyone else to start taking it seriously. And I think you just get that. Go East versus West. Just leave it alone, man. Like, just put on the mics. Let these guys have fun. Maybe you do a thing where it's like the oldest player in the league or the 2 oldest players in the league are the coaches of the All-Star game, instead of making it about, who's got a better, like, let's lean into the fact that the NBA personalities are one of the reasons why we enjoy the sport, and to see them go out and maybe just have fun, I think would be fun. This idea that it needs to be competitive is it's garbage. It's for losers. Only losers want the All-Star game to be competitive. I just want to see cool stuff. Aaron Gordon should have been an all-star a couple years ago, so I could see him dunking a game. I just give me a fun time. I just the international this idea that we want to make it international versus Americans is silly. Number one, all the best players are international, and number two, why? I don't want to see, like, just give me East versus West. We're gonna have good team ups. Either way, I just think it's kind of silly to lean into this international thing.
Yeah, it's. I mean, what's a little xenophobia that can help you? You know,
look. I will say this. I made that joke before about xenophobia, and I don't think.
It's not real.
It's not real. I don't think that that's actually like the idea. I understand what they want to do is they want to highlight. Listen, this is a global game. I get it, but we are hammered over the head with this. I'm literally watching a game right now that's being played in Berlin, and the Orlando Magic might as well be an international all-star team. I mean, like the number of guys that, I mean, they've got 3 German players, they've got a Georgian player, they've got a French player. They have Paolo Banchero, which he's multiple
Italian,
you know what I mean? Like there's so many, like this is an international team almost. So we understand that. Just give me East versus West. Keep it simple. Bring back the old school blue and red East versus West jerseys, or blue and white, or whatever. Do that. But I don't know, man. Like the All-Star game's not broken because it was never good in the first place.
I made a joke when I was making the thumbnail for this show, like, is the NBA turning into WWE? Because as soon as you made that xenophobia joke, like a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, I don't remember when it was.
Yeah.
I immediately thought of the Yokozuna body slam event on a,
Lex Luger
carrier ship or whatever
the Lex
it was.
Express, man. You know, Lex Luger. I mean, but he was a cheater, if you remember, because he had that steel plate in the elbow. Right. So again, America wins, but they cheated. So
let's not get too serious because this is supposed to be a fun.
I'm very serious about the Lex Express.
One other thing I wanted to ask you: how do you feel about the NBA just completely changing the way the refs are calling the games mid-season? We are literally right now experiencing way fewer foul calls and way fewer free throw attempts. All of a sudden, what happened? And how is that still possible?
Shout out to Ben Taylor. Thinking Basketball made a great video. He talked about just how the fact that offensive players are allowed to do anything. But the other thing is, man, the numbers back it up. The games were too long. We were approaching 3-hour-long games.
Yeah. And
that is just insane. It's insane. Get that basketball game down to about 2 hours, please. Respect people's time. There's just too much downtime. And frankly, it's better for the game to have defense, because if you're just going to allow these guys to score, you're not going to get any defense whatsoever. And that's what we started seeing at a certain point, because teams were getting into foul trouble early. And instead of, we're in the bonus. Okay, well, we got to back off. Our aggression has to come down. And what we're seeing, I think we're seeing a better brand of basketball. It's more like what we saw last season. I don't know why this year started out so weird. Last season was so good. And this season felt like 3 years ago, where it was completely out of control, where, you could, James Harden was doing the, let me wear you like a backpack when I snake the pick and roll. You know what I mean? I'm going to jump backwards into you. And this looks a little bit more like basketball. Joel Embiid was called for traveling on back-to-back possessions yesterday. Back-to-back, and they were travels.
Yeah.
And he got called for them. Now, that being said, the Miami Heat travel every single possession in transition, and I have yet to see them called for a travel in transition. So we still got a long way to go, but we're better off today than we were a month ago.
By the way, do you think it's the rules that were weak, so all of those things were possible on the offense? Like, stuff that Austin Reeves does, that Jalen Brunson does, that Luka does, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Or is it just that the players in their camps are just way smarter now, and they can exploit, every little thing that were not available before all the cameras were installed and everything like that?
I don't know if I've ever told this story publicly or this fact publicly, but I know a former NBA referee whose name I will not say, who goes around, he works with players during the summer. He watches their film, and it's all about how to take advantage of the officiating. That is 100% his job. That's what he consults on. He watches their tape. He sends it to their trainers. He works with them in the summer, and it's all about getting your body in a position where the refs can't see things, and how to take advantage of momentum and make it look like you're getting fouled. So, I mean, there is now an industry around foul baiting, and there's a lot of guys who have been paid because they're good at foul baiting. I mean, Corey Maggette stayed in the NBA for a long time because he could get to the free throw line. So it's hard to take away the incentive when it's rewarded. And I think what you need is that veer in the paint when you just dive into the guy because you're not going to get a shot up. That's got to go. And it looks like it's going away. Like it's been pulled away here the last few weeks. AJ Mitchell tried it a couple times against the Spurs the other night. No calls. But there's just so many times where it feels like the whistle is preloaded. If it was a gun, they'd kill someone with it. And they're just ready to blow that thing. And I would love that whistle to have to come to their mouth. You know what I mean? You got to make the decision. Don't just be ready. I mean, I've refereed before. I've refereed games. I've refereed more practices than I could count. And I've refereed, I mean, I'm saying with clock, with shot clock, with everything. There's a lot going on if you're a referee. And if you're just looking for the contact, any contact, and you're blowing the whistle, it's just going to be a long game. And the truth is, the offense in the NBA, the offensive players, something like 70% of the time, this is my anecdotal eye test as a guy who's just watched too much basketball. It's like 70% of the time, the offense initiates the contact. So the defense is never allowed any sort of legal guarding position. The A to B verticality rule is so dumb because if a guy doesn't jump straight up, he can just get hit by the offensive player and shoved out of the way. And A to B isn't even actually a thing. Like it doesn't really exist in basketball because you're allowed to jump and move, just like I'm allowed to move my feet. Me being in the air doesn't change anything. But the NBA is gamified fouling so that if you get the guy in the air, throw your body into him and flip a shot up. It's just not basketball. And so I just want all of that stuff gone, but the grifters are going to continue to be rewarded, and then that begets more grifting.
So people sometimes will tell me like the NBA has a referee problem. They need better referees, maybe some EuroLeague refs. No, man, NBA has the best refs in the world. Like there's no way anybody has better referees than the NBA. The problem are the rules. The problem are the way they are, forced to apply those rules and
exactly
not to use their common sense in certain situations, because there are obvious situations where FIBA ref is allowed to say, that's bullshit.
Right.
It's the other team's ball.
Not trusting them to use their judgment.
Yeah.
Right. And there's an art to refereeing.
But I have to ask you something. Do you think that's because of the betting part? They don't want to allow the refs their, peace of mind on things. They want to make them robots. So everything could be like more predictable or something like that.
It could be that. It could also be that you had teams fighting for black and white refereeing, like by the letter of the rules in the rule book, so that teams and players could break those rules. It's hard to get around the system if the system's not codified. And I think that's part of it. And so they almost wanted these referees to just be robots who called it black and white instead of saying, okay, well, that hand check didn't really affect the play. I won't call it. You know what I mean? Like the things where, if a guy does, I don't want every travel call. I know I make this joke. There are travels that are inconsequential. Like there was a travel once where I think LeBron gets the inbound. No one's guarding him. And he took like 5 or 6 steps before he dribbled. Man, you know what? That's funny. I don't care. It didn't affect the play. The one that I want is the one where the guy's driving and he takes 17 steps. The Grayson Allen, I'm gonna do-si-do this way and I'm gonna put my foot over here and I'm gonna hop 6 times. That's a freaking travel. So I want the referees to be able to use their knowledge and experience to more produce the game than anything else, right? Like call it by the rules to try to keep these guys playing basketball, which right now they do like 70% of the time.
Thank you so much for doing this, Dave. Can you tell my audience where they can find your work?
Everything is at The Athletic. Wherever you listen to podcasts, we do the NBA Daily. It comes out 6 days a week. And so we're watching games every single night. And honestly, it's one of the most fun things I've been able to do since I started in this business. And S and Zena and Andrew and Alex, I mean, just the best guys. And, you know, Zena's a guy, you know, throw Zena in the guy crew there too. But we have a good time. And like, honestly, we really do, like, I think, watch the games and try to do the show with a lot of joy. And so if you guys want to check that out, please do.
And I couldn't say any nicer things about your complete show to everybody, because like the daily shows during the week and then the weekend slam and jam with Alex and Andrew, I love those guys. Like Alex inspired me to start the trivia show during the summer, because that's just so fun. So awesome. So everybody should check it out. It's a really, really fun thing. Okay, that is all I've prepared for you, my dear listener, today. And with cherry on top, please take the word prepared very loosely. I basically just let Dave talk for an hour. Be well, be safe, be kind to everybody. Call your mom, and until next week, remember that my plan is to be Nuggets forever.